And as a child, when I was a child, and even as an adult, as a husband, Arlene will say, babe, can you go, you forgot to take trash out. Fine, I'll go take it out. It's not that I didn't know it, I just didn't know it. It wasn't visible. It wasn't like bright, shining light. But it was to her. Because she's the mom of the house. And I see that with Miss Amy. She's the mom of the house. And she loves us. And she tries her best to encourage us. And as a mom, I've learned through experience that moms is like a double full-time job. Moms don't get a day off. If the mom is sick and the babies are sick, the babies still want mom. Dad can try, but it's not the same. And moms will push through the storms of their own sickness and their own abilities and their own shortcomings. You know, and moms, wives, they have the same voices that the husbands have in their heads, telling them they're not good enough. They're not strong enough. They don't pray enough. They always fall short. You know, and if something goes wrong, it's usually the wife and the mom that gets blamed. You know, my mother-in-law, whenever the siblings get all together and they start talking, they say, well, it's mommy's fault because she didn't teach us how to manage money, or it's mommy's fault because she didn't. She's like, I get blamed for breathing. And it's true. And it's true. Because typically when we think like that, oh, well, dad was working. Well, mom didn't do this. And mom takes the brunt of the force. But you know what? I'm proud of the church daddy that I have leading this church, Pastor David Nitz. I'm also proud of the mommy leading this church. Yeah, Amy Nitz. Yeah. I'm proud of her too. So that's why I can invite someone to my church. Because I'm proud of my mom and dad. They may not be my physical mom and dad, but they're the shepherds over me. They're my spiritual mom and dad for this season in my life, for however long God would have us to be here. And I'm proud of that. And they parent well. Family consists of marriage and parenthood. Marriage is difficult, and so is parenthood. And I know even me, and I know Miss Amy, I know you love me, but even I can be cantankerous at times. Yeah. Thank you, Big Rev. So we got the mom, we got the dad. Then the members, we're like the kids. We're like the kids. I mean, what do kids do? What do children do in the home? Make a mess. Stir things up. Keep mom and dad on their toes. Yeah. Argue together. Remember, only child, I have 2 boys. This sibling rivalry thing is going to kill me. I mean, just for no reason. Just sitting there doing nothing, the other one come, boom. It's like, what was that for? I don't know. What? Yeah, just because. I was an only child. I have my own deep, dark things. Freeze tag by yourself takes forever. Hide and go seek. Oh, good Lord. But this whole sibling, that's what children do, siblings do. They fight hard, but I also notice my boys, they love hard too. And just because you can love hard and you can fight hard, you still have to learn how to communicate with each other. Because you're still created in God's image. And as the children, as the members of this church, we're like the children within the household. Are we making messes for our parents to constantly clean up? And have we gotten to a point where we expect them to clean it up? And if they tell us to pick up our own mess, we get angry? I mean, how many of you growing up at some point did you tell your mom and dad or your mom or your dad or whoever raised you, you know what, I'm leaving. I can't wait to get out of this house. I make my own rules. There's the door. Go try it. Go try it. You know? And I even catch it in my own parenting. If our boys make a mess, you know, go to clean up. Well, wait a minute. They made the mess. If I constantly clean up their mess and I never teach them to clean up their own mess, what are they going to be like when they become adults? You know, the children. So then you got the elders, you know, the grandparents of the family. They got the reinforce and exemplify the foundations and things like that, and the prayer and support the mom and the dad. That's the elders. That's the elders. And the elder doesn't mean you have an elected position in the church, because we have a board of elders in our church. But an elder is someone who is further along in life, in experience, in maturity. Doesn't mean you're an elder once you hit 65. No. You can be an elder in your 40s. You can be an elder in your 20s to a child who's 10. An elder means you're older, you're further along the path, you're more mature, you've learned some life experiences, and you take that and you pass that on to the next generation to equip them, to disciple them, to encourage them, to grow them, to strengthen them, to raise them up to something higher than what they think they can become. And then as an elder, as a grandparent, an elder, same, you support the mom and the dad. Because there's nothing more frustrating than for a mom or a dad to discipline their child, and the grandparent says, oh, you don't have to get in timeout. Come on over here. Come play with me. Well, wait a minute. You just undermined my authority. Let that one sink in for a minute. Well, I'm teaching this class, and I know the pastor wants me to do this, but I'm going to teach on this instead. And then when we invite someone in, they hear what's going on, and then they finally meet our dad or our mom. Oh, I learned this, and this is great, and we talked about this, and then the mom and dad are like, huh? Where did that come from? It's just some things to think about. But here's an example. As an elder, as a person who's more mature, someone further along, there's one thing that grandparents get to do, and parents get to do it too, but especially grandparents. Make yourselves available for your grandchildren. I give you two opposite extremes. My mom and dad, they didn't really engage my two boys. They didn't. They even lived just within the same neighborhood. They didn't engage. You know, when they got them stuff for Christmas or their birthday, they didn't know what they were into. You know, they talked about they loved their grandkids, but they didn't engage. When my dad passed away 4 years ago, my boys, they were sad, but they really didn't cry that much, because there wasn't a whole lot of interaction there. They knew they loved them and they loved each other, but there wasn't a whole lot of interaction. But now Pastor Tom Beauregard, that passed away in January, they wept. They wept and they cried when he passed. They cried. They still cry. You know, we were just talking the other day about Christmas coming up. Tom made things bigger than life. And it didn't matter how Tom was feeling. Tom was sick. It didn't matter how he was feeling. As soon as his grandkids came in, he perked right up, and he built tents with the sheets and made forts, and he got a projector and a big screen to put in one of the rooms upstairs to make a theater for his grandkids, and he put a microwave with popcorn and refrigerator with juice and all these candies and cookies, and he made himself available and involved himself in their life, and he never undermined what Arlene and I were trying to teach our kids. And when he passed, my boys wept. They wept. They cried real tears. As elders, and right now, we can do a sweep across right here. We are all elders right now at this moment, because there are people out there who have never been in here to this church. Maybe they've been to a church, but not this church. Not this church. So we are further along than everyone else we're going to invite. So we have the opportunity that when someone new comes in, to engage them, to make ourselves available. To make ourselves available. You know, my kids, almost every day, there's something goes on that they miss Grandpa. Talking about Papa Tom. Once in a while, they'll say something about my dad. So think about if a person gets disgruntled here and they leave and they say, well, I could be gone from the church and they wouldn't even notice I was gone. Whose fault is that? Is that the church's fault for not looking after you, or is it your fault for not engaging them? It can go both ways. It can go both ways. If you were to leave today, would anybody miss you? It depends. How involved and how engaged are you? You know, if Lloyd were to leave and not come back, I'd miss him. He's my Bigfoot dude. I love this guy. Why? Because he's engaged. He didn't wait for me to engage him. I remember the first time I met him. He didn't wait for me to come and say hello to him. He came up to me. Scared me half to death because he came up fast. I was like, wow. But he engaged. That's what we have to do. When we talk about welcome home and inviting people to church, it's not just simply inviting them. It's engaging them. Because here's the reality. If we first practice engaging people, then the invitation just comes naturally. Think about it. If we practice the engagement of people, involving ourselves in their lives, then the invitation just comes naturally. They're going to want to come. They're going to want to be where you are. You know, Pastor David, he never invited me to Village. We just started having coffee together, and then he invited me for a missions conference because we run the mission. We were already at a home church. He didn't invite me to Village to be part of Village. He invited me to be part of the missions conference so they could support what we do here in our city. He engaged me. He made himself available to me. I began engaging him, and then God did the invitation. That's when I told Arlene, I was like, I feel like we need to be helping David and Miss Amy. She's like, okay. So before I said anything to them, I went to my pastor and sat him down and had a heart-to-heart. And said, look, there's no ill will. You've done nothing wrong to us. You haven't offended us. This is where God is leading us. He gave us his blessing. And then I came and talked to Pastor David and said, hey, I feel like this is what God is doing. If you would have us, we would like to serve with you. And he said, come on in. See, and that's how it works. But see, in church, in this family, we have the good. We have things that we do really, really good. But then we also have the bad. We have the ugly. But that's part of family. That's part of family. You know, one of the things I do love about us as a family is, for the most part, we're pretty transparent with each other. At least I know our Sunday school group is. Good Lord. There's things you say that I don't even need to know. But and then I wished I hadn't. So, but you know what? That's what brings us together. You know, there was a new couple that came last week checking out the church, and James and Nicole were talking to him. They're newlyweds, as James and Nicole newlyweds, and we're talking to him. James looked at him and says, hey, man, this church will break you in marriage. I was like, that's one way to look at it. But he was just being honest. Because why? Marriage is tough. Marriage is tough, but we got to get in there and get dirty. We got to get messy. Doing life together as a family is messy. Some days you love your family. Other days yeah. But at the end of the day, you come back to that. This is family, guys. This is what this is about. So think about this for a minute. Think about this. What is your role? What is your role? Are you the pastor? Are you the pastor's wife? Are you the member? Are you the elder? Well, mom and dad are already taken. They're not going anywhere. Mom and dad are taken. So it's either members or elders. And remember, children in the household help do chores. Make the household run. So what is your role? If it's the nursery, do it to the best of your ability. Do it for Jesus. If it's working with the kids, if it's cleaning up, if there's a piece of paper on the ground, don't step over it, just pick it up. And if somebody asks you to pick it up, don't get mad about it. Oh yeah, this is my house too. Pick it up. So what is your role? Based on what everything that was just said, where do you fit in this area? Because everyone has a role. Everyone has a part. You know, this is a family that's a good family. Are we weird? Yes. Yes. Are we kind of quirky? Yes. Are we strange? Yes. Look at Big Rev. I mean, hey, you know, we all are some of us scary? Yes. But that's what makes this family so great. Because we can't claim that we got it together and we have perfection. We're perfectly imperfect. Which is awesome. You know, but what if we started living life as a family the way God sees it? What would happen? I got a picture I want you to see. This is one of my favorite passages from the Gospel of Mark. There was a man who was paralyzed. And they carried him. 4 men carried him on a stretcher. And he said, we got to get him to Jesus. And Jesus was in town, in this house teaching, and they couldn't get to the door because there were so many people. They went around to the back door, couldn't get in. Went around to the side window, couldn't get in. These jokers climbed up on the roof, cut a hole in another man's roof, and lowered this man down at the feet of Jesus. And one of the things I love, it says, Jesus, looking up, saw their faith. Saw their faith. Now, here's the type of family that I need in my life. I need family who are like those 4 guys. I'm not focused on the paralyzed guy. I'm not even focusing on Jesus right now. Those 4 guys, I need family that are like those 4 guys that when there's something going on with me that I can't fix, they know where to take me. They know where to carry me. And they will get plumb slapped out of their mind crazy and do some radical stuff to get me there. To get me there. Cut a hole in another man's roof to get their friend to Jesus. That's the type of family I need in my life. You know, when Pastor was coming home, I asked Miss Amy, you know, do you need help getting into the house? No, Pastor Terry's got to ask Pastor Terry, hey, do you need help getting Pastor into the house? You know, he just had surgery. I think we'll have it, but keep your phone on just in case. I was in the area 2 minutes from his house. I said, you know what? I'm going to stop anyway. He gets mad. I don't really care. He needs help getting in the house. He don't need to fall. You know, Miss Amy, she's got her own things that she needs to get done over there. So I just stopped by. I figured if they don't need me, they don't need me. But if they need me, I'm glad I'll be there. Guess what? I was glad I was there. Helped get him into the house. He's a hefty little son of a gun. Love you, Pastor. But see, that's the kind of family I need in my life. But you know what? That's also the kind of family I want to be in someone's life. That I'm not worried about what they're going to think or what they're going to do. If you're hurting, I'm going to take you kicking and screaming and biting and whatever. I'm taking you for help. That's what family does. We don't just cast you out. You're dead to me. No, that's not what family does. No. So what if we start living as a family the way God intended? I got one more picture for you. I love this one. Acts chapter 2, day of Pentecost. They're all together in one accord. There comes a sound of a mighty rushing wind, and the Holy Spirit filled the entire place where they were. And what appeared to be cloven tongues as a fire descended upon them. And they started speaking in other tongues. The Spirit gave utterance, proclaiming the glories of God. See, I'm not saying, oh, wouldn't it be great if we all just ran around here like crazy folks and just speaking in tongues and dancing and stuff and jumping? Oh, that'd be great. But what if we just started proclaiming how good God really is in our life and stop focusing on the negative and focusing on the bad and focusing on all this other crazy stuff and start saying, hey, this is how good God is. Hey, you need to come down to Village Church of God because you know what? We're family there. We ain't perfect. We're quirky. We're weird. We're strange. But you know what? We will love you when no one else will love you, and we're going to love you the way Jesus loves you. And I want you to meet my mom and dad. And I want you to meet the grandparents and the elders. And I want you to meet my siblings. Most of you. That's what I desire. That's what God desires. I mean, think about it. Look around. Look around at the people beside you right now. Look around at the person sitting next to you. Isn't it strange? Not them, maybe some. But isn't it strange that you're sitting next to who you're sitting next to, who you're sitting around, who you're sitting around? There was a time you didn't know each other. There was a time you didn't know each other. There was a time you probably didn't care to know each other. That may have been yesterday. Or may have been this morning on the way into church. I wish I didn't know you. Or like my sister-in-law told my brother-in-law, I hope when we get to heaven, I hope I don't know you. That was funny. That was funny. But I don't blame her, though. I know my brother-in-law. He can be a little out there sometimes. Love the guy, though. But if you really think about it, it's really quite strange how we all have come together. It's really quite strange how we have Pastor and Miss Amy as our shepherds. It's really quite strange that we have the elders that we have. It's really quite strange that we have the talent and the skills that we have. But what if we took that strangeness and not saw it as a negative, but saw it as a positive? Because there ain't nobody can be as strange as us. We're the strangest that strange could ever be strange. And that's a good thing. Because there's a lot of people out there that are hurting and messed up and lost and burnt out on religion and wounded by church and abused by spiritual authority, that the last thing they need is normal. Well, that'll preach right there, won't it? The last thing they need is normal. They need a little strange. They need a little strange. I remember the first time I walked into Arlene's church, Spanish Church of God, Spanish Pentecostal church. I was the only white dude there. It was strange seeing people with their heads in the chair, their butts in the air, praying before service. I thought, my Lord, what did I just walk into? The music's in Spanish, the preaching's in Spanish. This lady gets up, starts speaking in tongues, scared me half to death. I'm like, what is that? Arlene says, she's speaking in tongues. I said, tongues? She's only got one tongue. What do you mean tongues, as in plural? You know, it was just strange. But what was the strangest is that I was the only white guy in that Spanish church, and I got more hugs and more kisses on the cheek from all the ladies and greeted by all the men, that it was so strange, it felt so good. And that was a turning point for me. And it was in that church where I gave my heart to Jesus. Because it was strange. I didn't need normal. I needed strange. And every single one of you here, you're here because you needed strange too. Why do you think we got Pastor and Miss Amy? I could drop the mic and walk off right now. Because we needed strange in our life. And that's what Polk County needs. That's what Winter Haven needs. We are a church for those in search of strange. Because there's no better place. So family, let's be family. Let's stand up this morning. We're under one roof. Imagine what could happen under this God to show you. So many times we come before God and we say, Lord, I want to do better. I want to change. I want to do your will. I want to let go. I want to submit to you. I want to put it into your hands. Well, you know what? You're still wanting. You're still wanting. Just let it go. Just let it go. Letting it go will be the strangest thing you probably ever do in your life. But